हरित्याय च नमो लोप्याय चोलप्याय च नमः ऊर्व्याय च सोर्म्याय च नमः पर्ण्याय च पर्णछद्याय च नमोपगुरमाणाय च भ्यो नमो विक्षीणकेभ्यो नमो विचिन्वत्मते दरिद्रन्नीललोकिता येषां पुरुषाणां येषां पशूनां माभेर्मा रोमो गेषां किञ्चनाममत् या ते रुद्रशिवा तनुशिवा विश्वाघभेकपर्दिने के क्षयद्वेराय प्रवरामहे मतिं यथा नः शमसद्विपदे चतुष्पदे विश्वं पुष्टं ग्रामे अस्मिन्ननातुरम् मृडानो रुद्रो तनो मयस्कृते क्षयद्वेराय नमसा विधेमते यच्चं च योश्च मनुराय जे पिता ततश्याम तव रुद्र प्रणीतो मानो महान्तमुत मानो अर्भकं मान उक्षन्तमुत मान उक्षितं मानोपधे पितरं मोत मातरं प्रियामानस्तनुवो रुद्ररेरिषः मानस्तोके तनये मान आयुषि मानो गोषु मानो अश्वेषु रेरिषः वीरान्मानो रुद्रभामितो बधेर्हविष्मन्तो नमसा विधेमते आरात्ते गोग्नमुत पूरुषग्ने क्षयद्वीराय सुम्नमस्मे ते अस्तु रक्षाः स्तुहि श्रुतं गर्तसतं युवानं मृगन्न भीममुपहत्रुमुग्रम् मृडाजरिद्रे रुद्रत्तवानो अन्यन्ते अस्मन्निवपन्तु सेनाः परिणो रुद्रस्य घेतवृणक्तु परित्वेषस्य दुर्मदिरघायोः अवस्थिरा मगवद्भ्यस्तनुष्वमेद्वत्तोकायतनयाय मृडया मेढुष्टमशिवतमशिवो नत्सुमना भव परमे वृक्ष आयुधन्निधाय कृत्यं वसानमाचर विनाकं बिभ्रदागहे विकिरित विलोकित नमस्ते अस्तु भगवः यास्ते सहस्रगुम्नेदयोन्यमत्मन्निवपन्तु ताः सहस्राणि सहस्रदा बाहुवोस्तव हेतयः तासामीशानो भगवः पराचेनामुखाकृते सहस्राणि सहस्रशो ये रुद्रा अधिभूम्या तेषागुं सहस्रयो जने पतन्वानि तन्मसे अस्मिन् महत्यर्णवेकेऽन्तरिक्षे भवाधे नीलग्रीवाशितिकण्ठा सर्वा अधः क्षमाचराः नीलग्रीवाशितिकण्ठादिवगुं रुद्रा उपश्रिताः ये वृक्षेषु सस्पिञ्जरा नीलग्रीवा विलोहिताः ये भूतानामधिपतयो विशिखासक्कपर्दिनः ये अन्नेषु विविध्यन्ति पात्रेषु पिबतो जनान् ये पदां पतिरक्षय ऐलभृदायव्युदः ये तीर्थानि प्रचरन्ति सृगावन्तो निषङ्गिणः य एतावन्तश्च भूयागुंसश्च दिशो रुद्रावितस्तिरे तेषागुं सहस्रयो जने वधन्वानि तन्मसे नमो रुद्रेभ्यो ये पृथिव्यां ये केऽन्तरिक्षे ये दिवि येषावन्नं वातो वरुषमिषवस्तेभ्यो दश प्राचेर्दश दक्षिणा दश प्रतीचेर्दशो देचेर्दशोर्ध्वा तेभ्यो नमस्ते नो मृडयन्तु तेयं दश्मो यश्च नोद्वेष्टिदं भोजं भेदधामि त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकमिव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षेयमामृतात् यो रुद्रो अग्नव्यो अप्सुय ओषधेषु यो रुद्रो विश्व भुवना पिबेश तस्मै रुद्राय नमो अस्तु एते सहस्रमयुतं पाशा मृत्यो मर्त्याय हन्तवे तान् यज्ञस्य मायया सर्वानवयजामृत्यवेत् स्वाहा प्राणानां ग्रन्थिरधिरुद्रो मा विशान्तकः तेनान्येनाप्यायत्व नमो रुद्राय विष्णवे मृत्युर्मे पाहि तमुष्टुहि यस्सुषुः सुधन्वायो विश्वस्य क्षयति भेषजस्य यक्ष्वामहेसो मनसाय रुद्र नमोभिर्देवमसुरन्दुवस्य अयं मे हस्तो भगवानयं मे भगवत्तरः अयं मे विश्वभेषजो यगो शिवाभिमरुषणः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ छञ्च मे मयश्च मे प्रियं च मे नु कामश्च मे सो मनसश्च मे भद्रं च मे श्रेयश्च मे वस्यश्च मे यशश्च मे भगश्च मे द्रविणं च मे यन्ता च मे धर्ता च मे क्षेमश्च मे धृतिश्च मे विश्वं च मे महश्च मे संविच्च मे ज्ञात्रं च मे सोच्च मे प्रसोच्च मे स्थिरं च मे लयश्च मरुतं च मे मृतं च मे यक्ष्मं च मे नामयच्च मे जीवातुश्च मे दीर्घायुत्वं च मे नमित्रं च मे भयं च मे सुगं च मे शयनं च मे सोषा च मे सुदिनं च मे ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ अत्रिणात्वा कृमे हन्मे कण्वेन जमदग्निना विश्वावसोर्ब्रह्मणा हतः कृमीणागुं राजा अप्येषागस्तपतिर्हतः अधो माताधो पिता अधो स्थूरा अधो क्षुद्रा अधो कृष्णा अधो श्वेताः अधो आशातिका हताः श्वेताभिः सह सर्वे हताः आघरावद्य श्रुतस्य हविषो यथा तत्सत्यं यदमुय्यमस्य जम्भयोः आददामि तथा हि तत् खण्भण्म्रसे ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः पुष्पं वेद
पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् पशुमान् भवति
चन्द्रमा वा अपां पुष्पम् पुष्पवान् प्रजावान् पशुमान् भवति य एवं वेद योपमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति अग्निर्वा अपामायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यो अग्निरायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वा अग्निरायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति वायुर्वा अपमायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यो वायोरायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वै वायोरायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति असौ वै तपन्नपमायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यो मुष्यतपत आयतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वा अमुष्यतपत आयतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति चन्द्रमा वा अपमायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यश्चन्द्रमस आयतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वै चन्द्रमस आयतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति नक्षत्राणि वा अपमायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यो नक्षत्रमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपोन् भवति य एवं वेद योपमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति पर्जन्यो वा अपमायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यः पर्जन्यस्यायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वै पर्जन्यस्यायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योपमायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति संवत्सरो वा अपमायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति यः संवत्सरस्यायतनं वेद आयतनवान् भवति आपो वै संवत्सरस्यायतनम् आयतनवान् भवति य एवं वेद योऽप्सुनावं प्रतिष्ठितां वेद प्रत्येव तिष्ठति राजाधिराजाय प्रचयशालिने नमो वयं वै श्रवणाय कुर्महे समे कामान् कामकामाय मह्यम् कामेश्वरो वै श्रवणो ददातु कुबेराय वै श्रवणाय महाराजाय नमः ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः पुरुषस्य विद्मसः राक्षस्य महादेवस्य धीमहि तन्नो रुद्र प्रचोदयात् तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे महादेवाय धीमहि तन्नो रुद्र प्रचोदयात् तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो दन्ति प्रचोदयात् तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे चक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि तन्नो नन्दी प्रचोदयात् तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे महासेनाय धीमहि तन्नः षण्मुखः प्रचोदयात् तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे सुवर्णपक्षाय धीमहि तन्नो गरुडः प्रचोदयात् वेदात्मनाय विद्महे हिरण्यगर्भाय धीमहि तन्नो ब्रह्म प्रचोदयात् नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णु प्रचोदयात् वज्रनखाय विद्महे तीक्ष्णदग्ष्ट्राय धीमहि तन्नो नारसिंहः प्रचोदयात् भास्कराय विद्महे महद्युतिकराय धीमहि तन्नो आदित्य प्रचोदयात् वैश्वानराय विद्महे लालीलाय धीमहि तन्नो अग्नि प्रचोदयात् कात्यायनाय विद्महे कन्याकुमारी धीमहि
शुक्लाम्बरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रमकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः अविकाराय शुद्धाय नित्याय परमात्मने
पुण्यो भवति तपस्वी पुण्यो भवति। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ जातवेदसे सुनवामसो ममराति यतो निदहाति वेदः स नः परिषदति दुर्गाणि विश्वानावेव सिन्धुं दुरितात्यग्निः तामग्निवर्णां तपसा ज्वलन्तीं वैरोचने कर्मफलेषु जुष्टां दुर्गां देवीं शरणमहं प्रपद्ये सुतरसि तरसे नमः। अग्ने त्वं पारयानव्यो अस्मान् स्वस्तिभिरधि दुर्गाणि विश्वा पोश्च पृथ्वी भगुलान उर्वे भवातोकायतनयाय शम्योः विश्वाणि नो दुर्गः जातवेदत्सिन्धुं ननावा दुरितातिपर्षे अग्ने अत्रिवन्मनसा गृणानोऽस्माकं बोध्यविदातनूनाम् प्रतनाजितगुं सकमानमुग्रमग्निगुं हुवेम परमात्सदस्तात् स नः परिषदधि दुर्गाणि विश्वाक्षामद्देवो अधिदुरितात्यग्निः प्रत्नोषिकमेढ्यो अध्वरेषु सनाच्च होता नव्यश्च सक्से स्वाञ्चाग्ने तनुवं पिप्रयस्वात्मभ्यञ्जसौ भगवायजस्व गोभिर्जुष्टमयुजो निषिक्तं तवेकेन्द्रविष्णोरनुसञ्चरेम नाकस्य पृष्ठमपि संवसानो वैष्णवें लोकमिहमादयन्त कात्यायनाय विद्महे कन्याकुमारि धीमहि तन्नो दुर्गे प्रचोदयात् ईशानः सर्वविद्यानामीश्वरः सर्वभूतानां ब्रह्माधिपते ब्रह्मणोऽधिपते ब्रह्मा शिवो मे अस्तु सदा शिवो तद्विष्णोर्परमं पदगुं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवेव चक्षुराततं तद्विप्रासो विपन्यवो जागृवागुं सत्समिन्धते विष्णोर्यत्परमं पदं नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णु प्रचोदयात् तत्पुरुषाय विद्महे महादेवाय धीमहि तन्नो रुद्र प्रचोदयात् ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वः प्रचोदयात् हंसाय विद्महे परमहंसाय धीमहि तन्नो हंस प्रचोदयात् कर्मणा न प्रजया धनेन त्यागेनैकेन अमृतत्वमानशुः परेण नाकं निहितं गुहायां विभ्राजते तत् यदयो विशन्ति वेदान्त विज्ञान सुनिश्चितार्था सन्न्यासयोगात् यदयः शुद्धसत्त्वाः ते ब्रह्मलोके तु परान्तकाले परामृतात् परिमुच्यन्ते सर्वे दह्रं विपापं परमेश्मभूतं यत्पुण्डरीकं पुरमद्य सर्गस्थं तत्राभिदह्रं गगनं विशोक तस्मिन् यदन्तस्तदुपासितव्यम् यो वेदादौ स्वर प्रोक्तो वेदान्ते च प्रतिष्ठितः तस्य प्रकृतिलीन यः परः स महेश्वरः स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण महीं महिषाः गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
गोविंद बोलो गोपाल बोलो राम नाम बोलो हरि नाम बोलो अल्लाह साई यीशु नानक अल्लाह साई यीशु नानक ज़ोराष्ट्र महावीर बुद्ध नाम बोलो ज़ोराष्ट्र महावीर बुद्ध नाम बोलो गोविंद बोलो गोपाल बोलो ये नाम सारे हैं जीवन सहारे बोलो, गोविंद बोलो, गोपाल बोलो, राम नाम बोलो, हरि नाम बोलो, अल्लाह साई यीशु नानक, सौराष्ट्र महावीर बुद्ध नाम बोलो, ये नाम सारे हैं जीवन सहारे, परमानंद के ये खोलते हैं द्वारे, जो नाम चाहो वो नाम बोलो, प्रेम से बोलो, भाव से बोलो, प्रेम से बोलो, भाव से बोलो, गोविंद बोलो, गोपाल बोलो।
प्रणाम स्वीकार करो साई महादेवा,
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 साई महादेवा, साई महादेवा,
साई महादेवा, साई महादेवा,
साई महादेवा, साई महादेवा,
साई महादेवा, साई महादेवा।
महादेवा
साई महादेवा साई महादेवा
प्रणाम स्वीकार करो साई महादेवा
प्रणाम स्वीकार करो साई महादेवा
अल्लाह ईश्वर येशु साई
अल्लाह ईश्वर येशु साई
बुद्ध महावीर नानक साई
बुद्ध महावीर नानक साई
नटन सूत्रधारी जगन्नाथ साई
नटन सूत्रधारी जगन्नाथ साई
साई महादेवा साई महादेवा
साई महादेवा साई महादेवा
साई महादेवा साई महादेवा
साई महादेवा साई महादेवा
प्रणाम स्वीकार करो साई महादेवा
कोई बोले हरि हरि कोई बोले राम राम 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 कोई बोले दुर्गा काली कोई बोले साई माँ 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 कोई बोले हरि हरि कोई बोले राम राम कोई बोले हरि हरि कोई बोले राम राम कोई बोले नारायण अल्लाह बिस्मिल्लाह 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 कोई बोले नानक बुद्ध महावीरा 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 साधु संत फकीरा जाने सब है तेरो नाम 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 बोल मन अल्लाह मालिक बोल मन साई राम काली, कोई बोले साई माँ।
कोई बोले दुर्गा काली, कोई बोले साई माँ।
कोई बोले हरि हरि, कोई बोले राम राम।
कोई बोले हरि हरि, कोई बोले राम राम।
कोई बोले नारायण अल्लाह बिस्मिल्लाह।
कोई बोले नारायण अल्लाह बिस्मिल्लाह।
कोई बोले नानक बुद्ध महावीरा।
कोई बोले नानक बुद्ध महावीरा।
साधु संत फकीरा जाने सब है तेरो नाम।
साधु संत फकीरा जाने सब है तेरो नाम।
बोल मन अल्लाह मालिक, बोल मन साईरा।
बोल मन अल्लाह मालिक, बोल मन साईरा।
बोल बोल मन अल्लाह मालिक, बोल मन साईरा।
बोल मन अल्लाह मालिक, बोल मन साईरा।
कोई बोले हरि हरि, कोई बोले राम राम।
Om Shri Sairam. I offer my humble pranams at the lotus feet of Bhagwan Baba. It is my privilege to introduce the speaker of the day, Mrs. Geetha Mohanram. Mrs. Geetha Mohanram comes from a family of devotees that has been in Swami's service for more than 6 decades. Her granduncle, Sri Sheshagiri Rao, was Swami's personal attendant for more than 20 years. He was also the first priest at Prashanthi Nilayam when it was built in the year 1950. Her father, Dr. Padmanabhan, a renowned dental surgeon, was very dear to Swami and served him in various organizational capacities at Whitefield, Bangalore till 2008. Her mother, Srimati Kamala Padmanabhan, was appointed by Swami to be the SSC for Karnataka state, which she served with distinction for 25 years. She was specially chosen by Swami to be the part of the original group that developed the first Bal Vikas curriculum under the direction of Bhagwan himself. Her family was one of the 9 families that started the first Akhanda Bhajan in 1945 under Swami's direct guidance. They conducted this for 25 years until Swami declared it into a global event. She was named Geetha by Swami. She has had the fortune of enjoying and experiencing the multifaceted personality of our dear Bhagwan from her birth. At the tender age of 15, she was selected by Swami to be an SSC teacher. And in addition to this, she had delivered lectures under the Education in Human Values program to high school teachers throughout the state of Karnataka. In the year 1978, her marriage to Sri Mohan Ram was performed in the divine presence of Swami at Whitefield. Their twin sons, Varun and Arun, were born in the year 1981 and were named by Swami himself. 7 years later, Swami directed the family to go to USA and they settled in Maryland, Washington, D.C., where Sri Mohanram was working in NASA satellite operations. Mrs. Geetha taught kindergarten children in a private school for 17 years and was awarded the Best Teacher of the Year for 5 years in a row. At Swami's command and with his blessings, Mrs. Geetha Mohanram has been sharing her most intimate and wonderful experiences of our beloved Lord in different parts of the world, including USA, UK, Canada, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, South Africa, Australia, Mauritius, and India for the past 20 years. In November 2005, on the occasion of Ladies' Day, during Swami's 80th birthday celebration, she was chosen by Bhagwan himself to address the distinguished gathering in the divine presence at Prashanthi Nilayam. It is indeed a privilege to have Mrs. Geetha Mohanram today as our guest speaker, and she is going to share our experiences under the topic Lessons at the Lotus Feet of Bhagwan. Without much delay, I would request Mrs. Geetha Mohanram to share her experiences. Over to her. Jai Sairam.
Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yatkrupa tamaham vande paramananda madhavam. Offering my humble pranams at the feet of our beloved Swami, I would like to say Sairam to all of the brothers and sisters, elders, children in the Chennai area. I will wish you all good morning from the other side of the world. It is 8:30 in the morning for us here. And good evening to all of you. It is so wonderful how this technology has connected us from across continents, over the oceans, and able to meet with each other in such a nice way. Even though Swami calls it technology, as he used to love to call it, at the same time, when knowledge is used for the benefit of everyone, it is really a wonderful thing. Thank you all very much, Brother Suresh Chandar, Sathya, and Sai Srinath, and all of the other technical people who have connected us today together, and Brother Suresh Chandra, who has contacted me to speak to all of you. Thank you all for this wonderful opportunity to speak to all of you. In fact, I would like to wish you all an advanced happy Krishna Janmashtami as well, which is coming up soon. I hope you will all have a wonderful celebration of the festival, given the fact that we are all sort of doing a much simplified version because of the COVID-19. Thank you again for having me over. The topic that we chose, I think, for today was lessons at the Lotus Feet. I did not say lessons learnt at the Lotus Feet because I cannot claim that I have learned anything much. I've certainly heard a lot of wonderful lessons that Swami has given. How much of it that I'm able to practice is a journey in itself. Each one of us, I think, when we have seen Swami or heard Swami, we all have a resolution that we want to practice certain things in our lives. But the spiritual journey is a long one and a slow one. And the effort that we put in is up to each one of us. So one of the things that I very early in my life, thank you very much, by the way, Sister Kirti, for your introduction. Nice of you to have read out a long introduction, but thank you so much for that. But one of the early things that I heard and listened and watched my own elders while serving Swami was one of the wonderful aspects of divinity, which is omnipresence. I realized at a very young age that Swami seemed to know everything that we did, not only everything we did, everything we said, and not only everything we said, but everything that we thought in our minds as well. I was very fortunate, as Sister read out the introduction, I was very fortunate to have come into Swami's fold at birth. My granduncle, Sheshagiri Rao, who was the elder brother of my own grandfather, he was my father's uncle, came to Swami in 1943. So ever since then, my father's side especially, my father's side of the family became devotees. And by the time my father got married, he was already a devotee of Swami. And then my mother, in her own way, had seen Swami as a young girl in Bangalore. And she was told by Swami, who was a young man, the young boy at that time, that she would soon be getting married to a dental surgeon and that he would see her in Puttaparthi. So my parents, in fact, as soon as they got married, realized that they had both seen Swami, and their life journey started in 1945 when they got married together, as Swami being the very core of their life. So from there, by the time my brother was born and I came into this world, they were very deeply rooted in devotion to Swami. And because of that, I was very, very fortunate to hear stories from my aunts and my cousins and my uncles, stories that were wonderful. If you have all read the Satyam Shivam Sundaram, you will know that was the time of the Mahima period of Swami. So they had wonderful experiences that they used to share with us as children. Just like all of us, many of us Hindus have grown up listening to the Ramayana or the Bhagavatam. I grew up listening to Swami's stories as a small child, but the only difference was that these stories were very real to me because I saw Swami every weekend in Vrindavan or in Puttaparthi during the times that we went to Navaratri and other festivals at that time. This was the Bhagwan who was walking amidst us, who would show all these wonderful, wonderful experiences, not only to my family members, but even to us as children. So very early in my life, I learned that Swami could read our thoughts, knew our mind, knew what we were doing at all times. So when he said that I am always with you, don't worry, intane, kantane, gentane, ventane, eppudu untunnanu, I am always with you, besides you. These were not just words that one heard, but these were very, very true for me at the time, because he would read our minds and joke with us and knew exactly what we were doing at all times. So one of the wonderful experiences that continued to happen in my own life was when he was able to tell me what exactly I was doing at all times. And this was one of the things that I really heard in Swami's presence. The other thing that was very, very clear to me, that he would respond when we called out to him intensely. Now, one of the questions that I get a lot wherever I speak, whether it is on Zoom or whether it is in person when I attend regional retreats, they will always say, why do we feel that Swami doesn't respond to us? You know, we do our bhajans, we do our prayers, but many times we feel that Swami is not responding to us. And I was very fortunate. I think I was able to ask Swami once or twice in my many times that when we used to go from the US to India. We came to the US when my children were 5 years old. So we were able to go back, and Swami was very, very kind, and he would always talk to my children. And I think one of the questions even my children had is, why do we feel that Swami doesn't hear us sometimes, Swami? We are so far away. We want to come near you. We want to be here in Prashanthi Nilayam so that you can hear us when we call out to you. Somehow the geographical distance meant to them that he could not hear across the Atlantic Ocean. So that was one of the things too. At an early age, I realized that the intensity of our feelings for him was the most important thing, and how we develop a relationship with him. So a beautiful example that Swami gave at that time is, he said that, you know, if you just call out something because you know a name, then the response may not be as simple. But if you develop a relationship with me, develop love for God, you will then feel the response in many ways. So that was one of the things. I'm just going over a couple of things that I have been thinking this morning. And that was one of the things, is how intensely we think of him and with what relationship that we developed towards him. The other thing was that the name was very, very powerful. The name that we call out, it doesn't matter which name. It could be a name from any religion. You can say Jesus, you can say Allah, you can say Rama, Krishna, it doesn't matter. But it is the intensity and the faith with which you call out the name, which is important. And in fact, I was thinking of a funny thing while I was thinking these thoughts this morning, that Swami actually gave a very funny but beautiful example to my children. In the year 2000, I think my children were by that time 17, or they were born in 81. So they were 17 or 18 years old. And we used to go to Prashanthi Nilayam, and Swami, with his infinite love and kindness, would speak to us several times during our visit to Bangalore, to Parthi. And on that one, and every time we went there, on the ladies' side, all of you are very familiar, I'm sure, with the Prashanthi Nilayam. On the ladies' side, my mother and I would sit down where Swami would enter from the gate. And my father and my husband, Mohanram, would sit in the veranda. But my sons, who were young guys, and throughout their childhood, even when we went, they would have to sit in the general public, in the crowd. They would have to go in the token line and sit down wherever they got. So we would be, my husband and my father would be in the veranda. My mother and I would be in probably the first or second or third row where Swami entered. But my children would be somewhere in the crowd. So every time Swami would call us for an interview, we would get up, or he would call on my husband or my father on the men's side, and they would get up in the veranda and indicate to us to go to the interview room. But my sons would be in the public. So we had to figure out where they were. And we would constantly instruct them, keep your eyes alert on us. If you see me and my mother, grandmother, get up, because from the men's side, they could see us. They couldn't see the veranda where my husband was. If you see us get up, it means that Swami has called us. Make sure you come, like any mother, which gives instructions in the fear that the child will lose the opportunity of seeing Swami at close quarters. I would constantly tell them that, make sure you're watching us. Don't be distracted, because you won't have too much time. If they call us, make sure. And every time we were called, it would be a big hurdle for my children to come, because the Seva Dal would not believe that these your two young fellows, 12 years, 13 years old, would suddenly get up in the crowd and start walking towards the veranda. And they would say, sit down, sit down, sit down. And they would say, no, my mother is being called. They could not see the ladies' side. So we would always have this complication. We would arrive near the interview room door. Swami would finish his darshan, and he would come there and say, where are the children? That would be his first question. And we would say they are still negotiating their way from the public to come to the veranda. And many times Swami would call the four of us into the interview room, and he would very patiently sit on the chair waiting for Arun and Varun to show up. But it would, sometimes they would come, sometimes they wouldn't be allowed. If they crossed the first level of security, which was the public group, when they arrived at the veranda, they would be asked to go back. So Swami would patiently get up and go back in the veranda, and he would bring them both along with him. He would go out of the interview room and bring it. So this was like a constant fear as a mother for me, that somehow there would be a day that I would be in the interview room and my children would miss out on seeing Swami. And I remember that intensely, as soon as Swami would say, go into the interview room, rather than be happy about going and the fact that I had been given the opportunity to talk to the divine, my intense Namasmarana would begin. Please, Swami, get Arun and Varun. Please, Swami, get Arun and Varun. That would be my chanting. So one particular year, in the year 2000, by this time they were 17 or 18 years old, we all went into the interview room, and as usual, my two sons had not come. They had been stopped somewhere in the middle. And they were there, and Swami came inside the room and said, where are Arun and Varun? Where are Arun and Varun? And I said, Swami. He said, why have you not taught them to explain to the Seva Dal people that Swami has called them Swami? I have taught them Swami, but sometimes, they don't allow them because they are not very sure. So Swami said, you wait. And he went out. And he walked all the way back to the public where these boys had been stopped and brought them back inside. And both of them were almost in tears because they thought that Swami had closed the interview room door and they would not be allowed. So when we sat down, Swami generally talked to everybody in the interview room. And then he said, "Why did you boys not explain to the Seva Dal who you were?" So they said, "Swami, we did." And we have all learned from the very beginning that Swami does not like us to complain about others. We have to pray to Swami. That is the easiest thing, rather than complain about the office bearers or complain about the Seva Dal. So my sons knew that that would not be very well received by Swami if they complained. So they said, "Swami, we did tell them that Swami has called us." So Swami joked and said, "Did you tell your Pravaram?" He said. So these boys did not know, having grown up in the US, even though Swami has performed their Upanayanam, they did not know that Pravaram means they have to tell their ancestry to whoever it was. So they said, "We don't know what is that, Swami." So Swami said, "Did you not tell them that I am Sheshagiri Rao's great-grandson, I am Dr. Padmanabhan's grandson, I am Geetha and Mohanram's son, I am Arun, I am Varun." And so, "Did you not tell your Pravaram to the Seva Dal?" So they said, "No, Swami, we did not." So then he said, "Did you at least call my name?" So Swami said, "Yes, Swami, we kept on saying Sairam, Sairam to you." So Swami said, "See, that is why I came." So the explanation that Swami started to give them is, it doesn't matter what ancestry you may claim to have, but the intensity of calling my name brought me back all the way in the crowd to bring you back. And he started to tell the story of my granduncle Sheshagiri Rao, who served Swami. He went to Swami in 1944. He saw Swami, and that was it for him in end of 1943-44. Whatever it was in those days, as you can imagine, there were no books to read, no videos to see, no Zoom calls. There was nothing at all in the Prashanthi Nilayam, in the Puttaparthi area in those days. So even though he was from Bangalore, he was still in service, I think, at that point. He went to Puttaparthi. Swami decided that this is a man that I want to have near me. And he stayed back in Puttaparthi and never returned. He was an orthodox man who had gone, not very sure that he wanted to believe in some 16, 17-year-old boy. But he went there, he saw Swami, and that was it for him. He stayed back. So he served Swami till 1968 as Swami's personal attendant. And of course, when the Prashanthi Nilayam building was built in 1950, Swami asked him to become the priest there, to do the prayers there in the morning and do the arati. Till he passed away, he used to do the arati to Swami on both times of the day after bhajans, and generally looked after Swami in every way as his personal attendant till he passed away. So he was a very devout man, and he stayed with Swami, and deep love and devotion for Swami. He used to look after Swami with a lot of love and care. So Swami started to tell my boys about their great-grandfather, as he called him. He said, "See, your Muttata, your great-grandfather, he used to be with me all the time. And he used to take care of me and everything." And he started to talk about my granduncle in a very, very loving way. He was such a devoted man. He had no other thought other than to serve Swami. That's all he did from morning till night. That's all he would think. Oh, Swami will go to the press. Is the road nice? Is the pathway nice and clean? Are there stones there? Will Swami step on the stones? If Swami walks up to the Sanatana Sarathi office, which used to be there in the old days near the general hospital, which is there now, he says, "It will be very hot. Let me carry water." So in a little steel, silver, this thing he used to carry water. That's all. He would do nothing but Namasmarana in various ways. So he said, one day, I was invited to go to Chennai. So this is the reason why I'm giving you this long story, because I'm talking to the Chennai devotees. So Swami was explaining how he had been invited to go to Chennai. He remembered Gindi, Lilamma. He said there are many great devotees there in Chennai. They are very devout people. And I have to go there to Chennai. So in those days, he said, he was explaining to my son, Swami had a small Morris Minor car. And he even told the children, the car was a black Morris Minor car. And I used to have sometimes somebody to drive from the Venkatgiri Raja's family. But in that particular visit, there was no driver. So I decided to drive the car myself to Chennai. And he said that he told the Chennai people that I will leave Prashanthi Nilayam in the morning after breakfast, but I will be there for lunch. Of course, the Chennai devotee said, Swami, how can you be in Chennai in for 4.5 hours from Prashanthi Nilayam? It is not possible. And Swami said, don't worry, I am coming to such and such a day. He didn't tell us the devotee's name. I am coming to such and such a devotee's house for lunch. You all be prepared for lunch. So they went away after inviting him, and he told Sheshagiri Rao, Sheshagiri Rao, you'll be ready on such and such a day, morning 8:30 a.m. after morning breakfast, we believe. So it was just Swami and my tata, my grandfather, who were leaving. So they started to drive. Swami said he drove a little slowly, and Sheshagiri Rao was sitting in the back seat while Swami was driving the car. Then suddenly, Swami said, Sheshagiri Rao, you go to sleep now because we have to reach Chennai very fast because I told them I'm coming for lunch. So poor Sheshagiri Rao, of course, who constantly looked after Swami, said, no, Swami, how can I sleep when you are here like that? He said, don't worry. And Swami said, he started to drive so fast because he wanted to reach Chennai because he had promised that this poor Sheshagiri Rao sitting in the back seat started to see all the trees flying by the road, just going. He could not even see the road. He got so scared at the speed in which the car was going that he put his palms together and he softly first started to say Sairama, Sairama, Sairama. And Swami was laughing and telling us, Sairama is driving the car, but he forgot about the physical form of Sairama. But he kept on softly saying Sai Rama. Then as the car speed went on getting faster and faster and faster, the speed of that Sai Rama and the pitch of Sai Rama from the Swami said, Mood Shruti from 3 Shruti of 3, it became to 7.5. Sai Rama, he was just saying Sai Rama with his eyes closed, with such intense devotion that he consistently called out to Sai Rama. And finally, we arrived in Chennai. He opened his eyes and said, have we already reached, Swami? We are in front of the devotee's house. Yes, Sheshagiri Rao. But you were calling my name so intensely. You did not realize that the wheels of the car was not on the road. It was flying. And Swami said that from Bangalore, from Prashanthi Nilayam to Chennai, the car just flew with Sheshagiri Rao chanting Sai Rama in the back seat, while Sai Rama himself was driving the car. So he was explaining to the children that the name has such power. Even if you cannot see my form, if you chant my name, the power of my name will make you fly across this journey of life. This journey of life, he said. So this is how you boys, for a few minutes, you say Sai Rama, then you keep quiet and you start worrying about the Sevadal people. Then you will say Sai Rama for 1.5 minutes and then you will think, oh, Swami has forgotten, he's not going to come out, we are stuck here, he's not going to call us for the interview. So he said, remember to have a deep faith and a deep love for that name. Whether you see my physical form or not, it doesn't matter. The name will connect me to you. So that is one of the questions that people ask me. Now that Swami's physical form is not here, how can we develop faith in Swami? How can we have that strong faith? And Swami again, also to the same question that my children asked, he gave a very beautiful answer to that. He said, you know, you have not seen the picture of your great-grandfather, Sheshagiri Rao or Sitaramaya. You have not seen their faces. You have not met them. But the picture of their picture is there in your puja room of your grandparents' house. And your grandparents tell you, this was Sheshagiri Rao, this was Sitaramaya. And you have developed a lot of love and respect for that picture and that name and that particular form. You have developed a relationship. So supposing tomorrow somebody comes to your house and says, who are these two ugly old men? Why are you people hanging these pictures? So you throw it away. Won't you get angry? You will say, why are you saying that? That is my great grandfather. He's my great father. You don't know anybody. He's my grandfather. He's my great father. It is just a piece of paper. It is just a picture, but you have developed love towards that picture, that frame, that particular face. You have developed love, and you are willing to defend that name and that form, even though you have never met your great grandfather or seen them or talked to them. In the same way, with God also, as long as you don't worship God as a picture, but you worship the picture as God, it becomes a personal relationship to you. You will develop personal relationship. So this is how, and it doesn't matter by which name you call. You're a Christian, you're a Muslim, you're a Hindu. It doesn't matter which name you call. So one of the beautiful incidents that happened to me when I was a young girl, some of you may have heard about it, I don't know. But I think it is a good incident or experience of mine that it is good to talk about, is because many times we think, okay, do we have to worship him in this particular form? I have a lot of love for Rama's form or Krishna's form. Does it matter? And it really doesn't matter. We all repeat the Ashtotra so many times. We call him by so many names, but the idea is to call him with love, So that was so this particular incident happened when I was a small girl. I used to study in an American Protestant school in Bangalore called Baldwin Girls High School in Bangalore. And there I had a teacher who was my third grade teacher, Mrs. Grant. She was a devout, she was a Christian, and she was a very good teacher. I remember her very well even now, even after so many years. That is the wonderful thing about teachers. They can really impact your life. So Mrs. Grant, one day when I was in school, gave me a little note and said, my father was quite a well-known dental surgeon in Bangalore, and she had some tooth issue. And she said, can you ask your father if he can see me as his patient any evening after school, because the school was there till 3:30. So I asked, and of course my father said, of course, you bring her along with you. I used to come home by bus in those days. And he said, you bring her with you after school and I will see her. So so I brought Mrs. Grant one day. She was a very nice, she had met my parents before in parent-teachers meetings and so on. So my father finished treating her. I was waiting outside in the waiting room of my dad's dental practice. And as she was coming out, she was generally just talking to my father. My father was very good with his patients. And she happened to tell my father she was going through a very difficult time. Her husband apparently had been diagnosed with tuberculosis. So she was just asking my father if he knew of any doctors that he could recommend, and this is what had happened to her husband. And as my father was listening to her, I was a young girl, I was a third grader, and I suddenly piped up saying, oh, you should just take the Vibhuti, Swami's Vibhuti. And she could see that there was a Swami's picture in my father's clinic. And she said, who? And I said, my Swami, Sathya Sai Baba, you should just give your husband some Vibhuti. I was basically just listening to the conversation between my teacher and my father. You should just give him some Vibhuti. So this poor teacher, who was a Christian, was put in a little bit of an awkward position. I think she didn't know what Vibhuti was. And of course had not much faith in Swami, not having heard of him in those days, especially in the 60s. Swami was not so very well known in Bangalore. So she said, oh, thank you. That's very kind of you. But I would not let it go. And I was pestering my father to give her some Vibhuti. So my father, who was kind of glaring at me, ended up giving her a packet of Swami's Vibhuti that he had in his clinic, and explained to her that Sathya Sai Baba is our spiritual master, and we have faith in him. If you want, this is the Vibhuti that my daughter is talking about. It's holy ash, she explained to her. So this poor lady took it from my father, and she went home with it. But I kept on telling her, Mrs. Grant, you make sure you give it to him. You make sure you give it to Mr. Grant, because he will get better. He will get better. And I think I pestered her so much. And the following day as well in school, kept asking her, did you give it? Did you give it? So I think out of her affection and love for me, she did happen to give that vibhuti to her husband for a couple of days. And within a couple of days, the man started to feel better. And she was very surprised, because they had told her that it didn't look very good. And it was those days probably when tuberculosis was quite a serious problem, and it was not that easy to cure. So he started to get better. And then over a period of time, she continued to give her vibhuti, and she was supposed to go for the husband's checkup. And when they took x-rays and everything, found that there was no tuberculosis at all when they took the x-rays. And the doctors were very shocked, because they could clearly see it in the previous x-rays, but it seemed like he was completely cured. So she was very, very surprised. And she then happened to tell me that, can you please ask your father if I can visit this Sathya Sai Baba, who is... So I came back and asked my parents again, and I said, can my teacher come? I was very excited that my teacher wanted to come and see my Swami in Vrindavan. So my father said, of course. So we told her that my mother talked to her on the phone and said, we will pick you up on the way to Vrindavan. When we went there, on the way we picked her up, but along with her, my fourth grade teacher, who was to be my fourth grade teacher the following year, Mrs. Mercy, she was there, and Mrs. Grant and she were very good friends. And they said that, can we please bring her? We thought we'll bring her along. So the three of us sat in my father's car at the back, my mother in the front. We went to Vrindavan. And as Swami finished his darshan and started to go into the building, my father followed him in there. And he sent word with my father to bring the two teachers inside. So these two ladies, who had no idea what an interview was, we all went along with them. And Swami gave them both an interview with so much of love and spoke to them in English. And he looked at Mrs. Grant and said that, don't worry, there is no more tuberculosis. Your husband is not, he's well now. Jesus has taken care of her. Don't worry, he told her. She was completely floored, because she knew that my father probably would not have said anything to Swami. He had just immediately, we had all had darshan together. He had immediately called them. In fact, there was no time or anything for my father to have spoken to Swami. And Swami had called her by her name and said that your husband is well. Don't worry about it. Jesus has taken care of him. And then he looked at Mrs. Mercy and said, Miss Mercy, actually, she was not married, and said, how is Jacob? She looked even more taken aback, because my father or any of us, none of us knew who Jacob was. And she said, your brother Jacob, who is a pastor in Kerala, she was from Kerala, and he's a pastor in the church. He's a very good man. How is he? Every day he worships in the church. How is he doing? She was a Catholic, and she said, he's doing very well, sir. Both of them addressed Swami as sir. And suddenly, Swami materialized a beautiful crucifix, a brass crucifix, and gave it to her and said, I know that your father was also a pastor in the same church. He had always wanted to give this crucifix to his son, your brother Jacob, but he passed away, and none of you could find this crucifix. It was somewhere in the house. None of you could find it. Here it is. You give it to Jacob. Isn't it the one that your father had? He said, and gave her this brass crucifix. She was in absolute tears, and she looked at it and she said, yes, this belonged to my father. This belonged to my father. And having said that, Swami materialized another small silver cross and gave it to Mrs. Grant and said, I think when you were 6 or 7 years old, when you went to church, you lost your cross, which had been given to you by your family. Here it is. And he materialized both the crosses to them, blessed them, gave them vibhuti after asking them, if I give you vibhuti, will you take it? And he blessed them and sent them. And those two ladies were just beyond, you cannot even use the word surprise. They just couldn't believe what had happened to them. And after that, of course, many times they would come with us to Vrindavan. And many times Swami would say, it doesn't matter by what name you call that divinity. He will respond when there is intensity in your thoughts and when you call out to him with love. So these were some of the ways that I realized the omnipresence of Swami, that faith and the name had such power to it. So this was one occasion. But a more recent occasion, I must say, you know, all of us, however much we experience his divinity, are always swayed sometimes with these doubts. You know, we don't believe in our own self. In fact, one of the most beautiful spiritual advices that Swami gave all of us during my son's Upanayanam, he told my sons, first and foremost, have faith. And then he said, have self-confidence in your faith. Don't go on moving like a pendulum from place, to guru, to God. Have faith and have confidence in your faith, that faith that you have in that Lord is there with you at all times. So that was one of the things. The other thing I think throughout my life I found was that you had to do what is given to you as your duty and do it well with sincerity. Do it well with sincerity. That was one of the things. I mean, the first lesson I think I learned was through my mother. My mother was an extremely duty conscious person, and she would always say the reason for that was when first she got married and she came into the joint family of her husband's family as a newly married person. They were all there, as you know, in a Hindu joint family. My father's elder brother, younger brother, his unmarried sister, everybody was there. They were all in a joint family. And when my father's niece, that is my father's elder brother's daughter, was born, her name is Sudha, Swami used to come many times to my uncle's house as well. In fact, one of the first Akhanda Bhajans that was started in our family, the Akhanda Bhajans was started by the first 7 or 8 families of our own family, and then later on it became a global event that it is now. So for 25 years, the Akhanda Bhajan was actually a family function, and Swami used to come and stay in our house for the Akhanda Bhajan for 3 days. And then after the Akhanda Bhajan, he would go back. And in 1974, Swami made it the global Akhanda Bhajan, which all of us celebrate. He said, you have all started with one Akhanda Jyoti. Now it will become really an Akhanda Jyoti, which is lit all over the world. So during Akhanda Bhajans, he used to come. And one of the Akhanda Bhajans, he was also in my uncle's house, my father's elder brother's house. My mother, in one of, when she was a young child, she was only about 2 years old or something, Swami had come to Bangalore, and he was staying in one of the devotees' homes. And he sent word to all of these people saying, I have come to Bangalore, all of you come. So in those days, somebody would come and inform. There were no telephones or anything in Bangalore in the 50s. So my mother, so they all decided to go. Now my mother had been given the charge of this young child, 2 years old child, who was my father's brother's daughter. She was just 2 and she was unwell. She had a high fever and everything. And my mother, who was a very disciplined person, my aunt had said, my mother's name is Kamala. So he said, Kamala, you give her medicines at the right time, check her temperature, keep a note of the temperature so that we can tell the doctor. So she had been looking after this small baby. And when they got the information that Swami has come, all of you come, everybody was very excited, got ready to go. There was an elderly aunt in the house. So she said, my mother did not want to go because she was in charge of this child. But that aunt said, no, you go, it's okay. I will look after the child. You're only going for 1 or 2 hours. Don't worry, she's doing better. So the child was only 2 years old. So in her excitement of going, my mother wanted to check the temperature and then go. So she put the thermometer, the old type of thermometer, not the digital thermometers that we have now, the old thermometers which has the mercury, which you have to put under the tongue and take the temperature. My mother put it under the child's tongue and was getting ready because it takes a minute or so, but completely forgot in the excitement and left to see Swami. This is a small child who was quite sick, lying in bed. And as soon as they entered the devotee's house, Swami was sitting in the chair. And as soon as they entered, he called my mother and he said, "What is this? You have come to see me without doing your duty properly." My mother was a young girl, newly married at that time. And she, in front of everybody, Swami rebuked her and said, "What is this? Is this the way to do your duty? This is not the way to do your duty." So my mother didn't know what. She said, "I don't know, Swami, what has happened. I don't know what I did. What did I do wrong?" She didn't even know what was the mistake. Then Swami said, "You have put the thermometer in Sudha's mouth and you have come away in your excitement of wearing the sari, getting ready, combing your hair. You left the child with the thermometer. If your child had bitten the thermometer, the mercury would go." So my mother and all the people there immediately started to feel very anxious, because this is a very dangerous thing. The glass would have been broken, the mercury would have gone into the house. And the elderly aunt who was in the house was not very educated. What would she do? So everybody stood up and said, "We will go home, we will go home." And Swami said, "No, don't worry. I gone and I have removed the thermometer. I have put it under the pillow. When you go home, you will find the thermometer under the pillow. But remember that even when you want to worship the Lord, duty comes first. You have to first do the duty that you have taken upon yourself properly, clearly, and sincerely. Only then you can come even rushing for my darshan." So sure enough, when they all went back home that day, there was the thermometer under the pillow of my cousin Sudha's pillow. And she was 2 or 2.5 years old. And they asked her, "Sudha, who took out your thermometer? Kamlu Chikama, the aunt has left it in your mouth. Who took it out?" And she said, "Oh, Swami came," she said. "Swami came and took it out." So that is how the omnipresence, the innocent faith of a child, I think my mother learned what was duty. And so throughout her life, she was very, very dutiful in anything that she did. And so we also grew up like that. So one of the things that happened to me in 2008, Swami fixed my son Varun's wedding with another wonderful Sai devotee family, Gandikota Subbarao. You all chant the Sai Gayatri. It was his father, Subramanya Shastri, Gandikota Subramanya Shastri, to whom was revealed the Sai Gayatri. We all chant it, and nowadays we are doing it as Akanda Sai Gayatri and other things. So my daughter-in-law is the great-granddaughter of Subramanya Shastri Garu, and Subbarao, who used to live in Prashanthi Nilayam. He used to work for the United Nations, and when he retired and lived in Prashanthi Nilayam. So Swami fixed the marriage of his granddaughter, Sai Lakshmi, with my son, Varun. So when I had gone to Prashanthi Nilayam, he told me that this is a very good girl. They are also in the US. Her father at that time, my daughter-in-law's father at that time, was working in Austria, in Vienna. So he said, "The girl is a very good girl. You tell Varun to marry this girl. She's a very good girl. They are Sai devotees. I have only named that girl. They are long-time devotees like you." So my son and my daughter-in-law, without even having seen each other, met each other, they agreed to the alliance completely because of their faith in Swami. And Swami told the girl's grandmother, "You ask the boy's family all to come in November during the Kartik month, and I will perform the marriage here in Prashanthi Nilayam." So we all went there, as Swami had said, both the families from the US, the girl's parents came, all of us went, grandparents, uncles, aunts, everybody went as Swami had instructed. And we were waiting. As soon as I arrived in Prashanthi Nilayam, my husband and my sons and I, Swami came to me in the darshan line and asked me, "Have you all come? Who is not here yet?" And we said, "No, Swami, the girls' family are also here. Only 2 of the uncles have to come." He said, okay, very happy. I'll do the marriage, he said, and he walked away. Then after that began the test. So it doesn't matter how long you have been a devotee or how many interviews you got or how many children he has named. It doesn't matter. Swami will constantly test our faith and our commitment. So after he had spoken for the first couple of days to the girl's family and to us, Swami decided that he was not going to say anything more about the marriage. So you can imagine all of us had gone with 2 or 3 weeks of vacation. The girl had to return to her job. The boy had to return to his job, which is my son. All of us, my husband had to come back to his job. So we were all waiting for the day that Swami would say. I must say that I admire my wonderful daughter-in-law. Every day, her parents would dress her up as a bride. We would sit there because we did not know on which day Swami will ask us to come into the interview room for the marriage. She would dress up very patiently, even though everybody looked at her. Very patiently she would sit. So did my son. And they would sit there and Swami would walk by us as though we never existed there. So this went on. And it went on for days, for almost, 2 weeks almost. And everybody, so this is another lesson I learned. Don't get carried away by what everybody says. If you have faith, stick to your faith. That is what Swami says. Self-confidence in your own faith. So everybody in Prashanthi Nilayam started to tell us, oh, why are you giving so much trouble to Swami? Why? Swami doesn't perform any more marriages now. Swami himself has become frail. Why don't you get married in Puttaparthi, in the one of the temples and bring the newly married couple here? He will just bless them. Why don't you just fix up a date and go and get married in America and come back for blessings? So thousands of types of advice we were given by every close devotee, far devotee, non-devotee. People who did not know us also decided to come and give us advice. So, when so many people are giving input, Swami says, mind is such a thing, chanchala. It is always moving up and down like a pendulum. But you have to bring that mind back to focus and say, no, Swami, you told us to wait. The word wait means wait. So we had a family meeting, the girls' family, boys' family. What shall we do? We have been waiting. The days are going by. In about 5 days' time, everybody's plane tickets are booked. What should we do? The girls' family said, Swami said, wait. We feel we should wait. We said, the boys' family, Swami said, wait. We should wait. Then we asked the girl and the boy, because both hardly knew each other. They both had jobs to come back to. There is only so much vacation they had. So both of them said, if Swami said, wait, we will go back and we will come back again. And we will wait, but we will wait. So this was the decision that we came. So in the meantime, while I was sitting there in the darshan line, I must say again, I don't remember the lady's name, unfortunately. The Chennai, the Tamil Nadu Seva coordinator, she came up to me. I didn't know her. She saw me sitting in the darshan line and she came up to me and said, Sister Geetha, we have come here, all the ladies have come to do seva in Prashanthi Nilayam. Can you come and give a talk to our Chennai Seva ladies, the ladies who have come for seva? She was the Seva Dal coordinator. This is 2008, November. I don't remember the lady's name. I apologize. She came to me on the first day and she asked. I was in the excitement of the marriage. Swami had said, oh, very glad you have all come. I will do the marriage. Wait, he said, and went away. So we were all excited. Swami is going to call us tomorrow. Swami is going to call us day after tomorrow. So we were all. So I told her, no, I have come here. Swami has said he will perform my son's marriage. So I don't think I can come and give a talk this time. Please excuse me, I said. First mistake there itself happened. Because whenever I was asked, Swami has told me, when somebody asks you to speak, go and speak. You are a tape recorder. I will make you speak. You go and speak. That's all. But I took the decision upon myself. Though I was not doing anything, she said, no, Sister Geetha, after evening darshan, you can come and talk to them. They are all very eager. They all see you sitting here. They are requesting me to ask you. I could have easily gone. I was not doing anything after evening darshan. But I said, no, it is my son's wedding. I have come here. I cannot give a talk, I said. They were also seeing 2 days went by, 3 days went by, no wedding happened. Swami was ignoring us. We were all sitting there just praying. Again she came and asked, Sister Geetha, we have got one more week of seva. Can you please come and talk? Any time that you say, we will be ready. Again, second mistake. You see how we don't take what Swami tells seriously. Swami had said, go and talk whenever they ask. What was the problem for me to go and talk in the evening or in the afternoon? They were ready at any time. Only in the afternoon, I think they cannot because they have to do seva. But in the evening, she said, even 8 p.m. in the evening, it is okay. We are all in that dormitory arrangement. Sister Geetha, we will. Again, I told her, no. On the third time when she asked, by this time, we have reached the end of our stay, November 6th. Our tickets, my son's ticket was booked for November 9th. My daughter-in-law's ticket was booked for 10th or 11th of November. So by that time, we knew that probably for whatever reason, Swami has decided maybe not to do the marriage. But we said till the last day, we will stay here and go to the airport. So I was sitting there, 6th morning, again in the darshan line, the lady came and asked me, I said, Sister Geetha, please, I am requesting you, even if it is only for 20 minutes, please, can you come and speak? That day, I thought, somebody is asking me to share this beautiful Lord's experiences so that they can also feel the joy. And I'm consistently saying no without any proper good reason. Because this is not like a regular marriage where you have a marriage hall and you have to make so many arrangements, hundreds of guests are coming, thousands of rupees are being spent on Pakkavadyam and Nadaswaram. Nothing. This is just Swami's place. Swami has asked us to come. And in his place I am staying. In the room that he has given, he is staying. They are asking me to speak and I am saying no. So I said, I think I'm not doing the right thing. I said, I will come. So I told her this evening, I will come after evening darshan. You please tell me where. She says, no, you please, one of the girls will come and take you to our dorm. It is near the north building. So sure enough, after darshan that evening at 7 o'clock, they came and I walked with that lady and I spoke to them for about an hour, till about 8 o'clock. And I came out, and as I was walking back towards my room, my twin sons, Arun and Varun, were running and coming in full. So I said, what happened? They said, Mummy, Swami has sent word to Sai Lakshmi's family saying tomorrow he will perform the marriage on the 7th. So the sense of not only relief, but the lesson that I learned that day is that when we have given a commitment to whoever that may be, and in this case, my commitment to Swami to talk, as soon as I did that, of course, there were many other reasons, the devotion of all of us, our ability to take the test that he was giving us, all of that, especially for the boy and the girl's family who were also equally anxious. The test was a very strong and difficult one. Swami was testing us to see, are these people going to listen to all the hundreds of people who are telling them 100 things? Are they going to listen to my word of wait? They will listen to me. He was testing us. But for me, on that day, I felt that the minute I followed his little advice, that you stick to your commitment, you will get your answer. By the time I walked out of the hall, these two boys came running saying, Swami has sent word, he will perform the marriage tomorrow. And on November 7th, he performed the marriage of my son and Varun in Prashanthi Nilayam. So in every way, we can see that our effort is required. Our effort, when we do our duty properly, and if we consistently have that faith, which is strong, then, we can feel his presence in our lives all the time. So I think I may have about another 15 minutes, if I may ask Brother Sathya. Should I continue to talk? All right, I will continue to talk. Please make a sign to me when it is time for me to think, because I'm trying to look at the Indian time on my American phone here, so I don't want to be distracted. So anyway, so one other beautiful experience I had about doing one's duty with commitment was again another Tamil Nadu only experience, I must say. So I think Swami is taking me down that path. When I was a kid, you may have heard it. I know many of you listen to the talks on YouTube many times. But since somehow today Swami took me on this path of omnipresence, faith, and commitment, this particular one, I think I really must share with all of you. When we were children, sometimes Swami used to take us on vacation and in the summer holidays. And on one particular, I must have been about 8 years, 9 years old, Swami decided to go to the Horsley Hills, where the devotee had given Swami a beautiful British-style bungalow. And he took us about 3 or 4 cars. We all went with Swami to Horsley Hills. We stayed for Professor Kasturi also came along. Few families came. And we all went. There was so much of excitement at the idea of traveling with Swami. It was so beautiful. We could go. He would stop for lunch on the way, and we would spread out a picnic lunch under the tree, sit down and have, and Swami would be a part of all of us, eating along with us, talking, joking, and we reached Horsley Hills. And we spent about 10 days there. A beautiful time in the 60s, early 60s. Beautiful time there. Of course, any time spent with Swami is beautiful, but vacation was a little bit different. Swami would go for walks with us. In the evening, he would have some small discourses. He would tell stories to the children. And of course, he would, spend a lot of time with everybody in a very loving way. So it was very a lovely time. We enjoyed so much. He would eat with all of us, go out with all of us, go and see the places around. And it was going on like this. And of course, all the ladies would cook there as well. So it was a beautiful time with Swami for about 8 or 10 days. And we were all having a good time. None of us really cared much about the fact that there were 2 buffaloes, water buffaloes, that was bringing water to this place from a distant about 2 or 3 kilometers, I'm not sure, 2 or 3 miles probably. There was a well there. There was a water shortage here where we were staying. So the buffaloes would go to the well there, and the people who were taking care of the bungalow and all that would draw the water, fill it up with 2 huge cauldrons that was tied on the back of these buffaloes, and these 2 buffaloes, and they would bring the water, and the water would be poured into a big sort of a cement tank that was built, and the water would be filled. So these buffaloes would go back and forth to bring this water. And this water was used for all of us to wash our clothes and wash the dishes and all that. Nobody paid much attention to it. The buffaloes would make 8 or 10 trips to the well and bring the water from there. And we were all very busy enjoying a good time with Swami, not really worrying too much about the fact that these buffaloes were working so hard. So anyway, 10 days or so went by, and Swami asked us all to be ready the following morning at about 5:30 to leave, to go back to Bangalore. And, when Swami says be ready by 6 o'clock in the morning to leave, we all better be sitting in the cars at 5:30. If you are not there, he will leave at the time. He's not going to wait for people who are late. So everybody was ready and sitting in the car, very excited for another long journey back to Bangalore. And Swami came, and he was about to sit into the car, into Swami's car, where Sri Kasturi Garu was also going to sit, when suddenly he got out and said, wait, and he went. And he started to walk to the back of the bungalow, not into the main entrance or the side entrance of the bungalow. He started. Immediately, all the ladies in our car, I can remember, oh, why is he going in the back? Did we keep the back clean? Is the back clean? Why is he going in the back of the bungalow? Everybody was worried, because our normal thing, we think, our puja room, God is there, we will keep it clean. The rest of the places, it can be in any way. We don't realize he is everywhere. So in the same way, these ladies were saying, oh my God, why is Swami going in the back? Why did we keep the clean? Is it swept properly? And all they are talking. And Kasturi Garu immediately wanted to see what was happening, why Swami was going to the back. I also was a small girl. Swami had given me a lot of liberties. I could go wherever Swami went. I used to go with Swami. So I also jumped out of the car and went from the other side to see, very curious, where is Swami going? And both Sri Kasturi Garu and I, we met at the back, and we were both standing behind the bush to see what Swami is doing. Swami walked straight to these two buffaloes, which were there in a shed over there. And he went there and he started to talk to the buffaloes as though they were human beings like you and me. And we could see very clearly there was such a beautiful connection and communication between this divine Lord and those buffaloes. He started to talk to them in Telugu. Emi, papam, chala pani chesaru meeranta. You have done a lot of work for me. Dinamu, you have been bringing water for me every day. You have been watering for me. You have done a lot of work for me. So I came to thank you. He started to pat the cheeks of these two buffaloes, and we could see the tears rolling down the eyes of the buffaloes, which could easily understand what Swami was saying to them. Tears were rolling down, and Swami kept patting them on the cheek and saying, don't cry, don't cry. I'll come back again next year. You have done so much work to me. For me. He materialized some vibhuti, put it on the forehead of both the buffaloes, patted their cheeks and said, don't cry. I will be back very soon. I'm so pleased that you have worked without any expectation every day you have worked. He said, turned around and said, hey, you two, why are you hiding behind the bush? I told you to sit in the car. And there we were, Kasturi Garu and I, caught by Swami when he had told us to sit in the car. He said, go and sit in the car. Go and sit in the car. And many years later, Kasturi Garu wrote, I'm sure, in the book about this incident. And I have told many devotees what a love that existed between this creature, this animal that he had created, the love for Swami with which it had done the work for its devotees, and how Swami showed his gratitude for their commitment and for their continuously doing his work without any expectations, obviously. And Swami went and really spoke to those two buffaloes with so much of love. So this was again one of the things that I learned, that when you are in a committed and in a loving way, you serve that Lord, he will consistently, he will take care of you. One other small incident I will narrate, and I think by that time I would be coming to the thing. When I finished my college, I graduated in early childhood development. Swami asked me to do child development so that I could teacher. By that time, as Sister Kirti read out, by that time at the age of 14 and a half, 15, Swami had asked me to do Balavikas, become a Balavikas guru. So I had been teaching Balavikas for a long time. So by the time I finished my college, I had been doing Balavikas for quite some time. And Swami told me after that to do some Montessori training, which was quite far away from our house where we lived in Bangalore. We lived in an area called Jainagar. This was in Shivaji Nagar. So you had to go by bus. It would take about an hour or so to go there. And I used to do Balavikas, but sometimes because of the Montessori classes, which were late in the evening, sometimes I would ask the other teacher who was with me to do the class, because I would not be able to go to my Montessori class and do the Balavikas on some days when they had some practical lessons and all that. So one particular weekend, I had gone to Vrindavan, and Swami asked me about Balavikas. How are you doing? How are the children? How many children are there? Swami used to always ask, and he used to come to my parents' house very regularly for dinner. So at that time, I used to have all my Balavikas children come to have Swami's darshan. And Swami would always talk to the children, give them Padanamaskara, ask about each of them. So very beautiful blessing that Swami used to give the children. So that particular time, this was when I was doing my Montessori program after my BSc program in Bangalore. He asked me about the children, and I said, they are doing well, Swami, but some of the days that was bothering me, that I was missing some of the classes because of the practical classes that I had to take here with Montessori. So I said, sometimes I'm missing the Balavikas teaching, Swami, because I have to go for the classes. He said, oh, I know, it's okay. The other lady is doing it very well. Swami also appreciated her. But he said, what about this week? Are you going? You bring the, you go to the class this week, because that, even before the lady had told me, Swami said, that lady has some family program. You go to the class and then go to your Montessori class, he said. But unfortunately, if I did that, the journey from Jayanagar to Shivaji Nagar was almost 1 hour. And if I did that, I would miss my practical. And on that day, I would miss my practical exam. That I had a practical exam. I would miss it if I did the class, then took a bus and I went there. And my parents had a car and everything, but my father had to be in Vrindavan with Swami all the time, because he used to spend all his time with Swami in Vrindavan when he was not working. So I would not have the car either. So I didn't know what to do. I didn't have the courage to tell Swami that I will miss the exam. When Swami very clearly told me, you do the class and then you go to Montessori. So I knew that I will probably miss the exam, which meant I would fail the class. So anyway, since Swami had said, in a very sort of a half-hearted way, anyway, I did the class that day. And then I took the bus and I arrived in Shivaji Nagar at the bus stop. And there was a little bit of a walk from there, and it was a very huge main last bus stop. So lots of buses were there, and I was crossing all the buses, even though there is a particular walkway so that we don't walk in between the buses. But I was in a big rush to get to the class. I was hoping to make it. So I started to cross in between the buses, which was actually quite dangerous, which was all bad. And as I was crossing between two buses, the bus, there was one bus behind me, there was one bus in front of me. I was going in between, they were parked closely together. I did not realize that the front bus, the driver was reversing the bus. I didn't realize that. I was there, because I am short, and I don't think he was checking his side mirrors or rear view mirror. I don't know what the bus had in those days, in the 70s. And he was talking to somebody from the window as he was reversing the bus. And as he reversed the bus, I got pinned between this bus that is coming and the bus that is parked. In between the two buses, I got pinned, and he kept on moving backwards. And I was there, and I was banging on the bus that he could not hear because he was talking to somebody. And there was hardly anybody. It was about 4:30 or so in the afternoon. And another inch or so, the mudguard of that bus would have literally come and lodged in my neck. It was so suddenly that fellow, for some reason, he braked the bus, and the bus just stopped, and I was totally pinned. And then at that time, some people, passengers who were in another bus saw me, and they started to shout at the driver saying, move the bus, there is somebody stuck. So as they shouted, the driver didn't move the bus. He came out of the bus to see what they are shouting, and saw me pinned between the bus in the back and the bus in the front. And then he went back and he moved, and he was very shaken. And I said, they all said, oh, good thing you stopped, good thing you stopped. He said, no, I did not stop. For some reason, the bus did not reverse anymore, even though I was pressing the accelerator. That is why I was so shocked. I don't know why the bus didn't move back. So anyway, I finished this, and I still ran to my exam thinking, okay, I'm going to fail this exam. And I arrived there. For some reason that day, they had not opened the classroom door. This was being run in a school in this place in Shivaji Nagar. And the school, the room had not been opened. And therefore, everybody was standing outside. The room has been locked. We can't enter the room. When I went there, the peon of that school had just come and opened the door. So the exam got delayed. I was able to go, even though I was shaking, complete my exam. And I came home that day. When I came home, my father also came back from Vrindavan. It was late in the evening. He had had dinner. And he came and said, you are such a troublesome creature to Swami. You are always giving him some problem or the other. I said, what did I do? In fact, I said, he gave me trouble today. He told me to do Bal Vikas and then go to the exam. I was running. Yes, my father said, you were running, but did you not get stuck between two buses? how did my father know this? I said, how do you know that? I was almost killed by this bus driver today. And Swami said, my father said, Swami was talking in the old Vrindavan building to all of my father and some of the students. And as he was talking, suddenly Swami stood up and put his hand out and said, Bandi Apu. He said, stop the vehicle. Bandi meaning vehicle. Bandi Apu. And stop the vehicle. And Swami said it out so loudly and put his hand out. And everybody sitting there said, Swami, everybody knew something had happened for Swami who was talking suddenly to stand up and say, Bandi Apu, stop the vehicle. So they all said, Swami, what happened? Swami, what happened? They are all old-time devotees. They knew that Swami must have done something for some devotee. And Swami looked at my father and said, your troublesome daughter, instead of walking around in the bus stand, she has gone between two buses. And the bus driver, without seeing her, backed up. I had to stop the bus. So now I understood why the driver said that even though he accelerated, the bus would not move back, even though it was in reverse. I was able to go. So and finish my exam also. And next day when I went, Swami said, see, I told you to do the Bal Vikas, then you ran. But when I tell you to do something, I will always take care of you when you are doing my work, Bangaru. Why were you so scared that you were running between the two buses without taking any safety precautions? So, Swami's omnipresence, the faith in his name. I'm sure when the bus was coming back, I kept on saying Sairam, Sairam. And Swami's love for all of us will somehow see us through, even in these difficult times of COVID, as long as we have our deep love and affection in his name, in his presence, and in his love for his devotees. With these words, I will thank all of you for giving me a patient hearing on an evening for all of you. Wishing you all a wonderful Shravan month with all the different festivals coming up, Ganesh Chaturthi and everything. And to all of the brothers and sisters listening, and all of the organizers and Brother Suresh and everyone else, thank you very much. Sairam.
Thank you, Sairam. It was indeed pleasure listening to you for the past 1 hour. We didn't know how the time really passed off. We have a couple of questions, rather many questions, but due to time constraint, we will take as many questions as possible and write the other questions to you so that you can answer them later. The first question many of them are asking are, please share experience of Balvika student who was locked by her mother and went to watch a movie.
Oh, they want me to tell that?
Yes, they want you to share that experience. All of that are making
Sure. Oh, this is again coming back to Tamil Nadu. I see the question. All right, sure. I'll be happy to share. So, as we've been talking earlier, I was teaching Bal Vikas for many years. And when I was teaching in the class, one of the days, I used to teach in my mother's house. One of the ladies next door, one of the people who lived next to our house, they had a maid who used to come and do all the housework for them. She had a little son, and he used to be very naughty. So that lady was telling her, if you bring your son, you cannot come and work. So one day she came and asked my mother that, can this boy, she knew that we were doing Bal Vikas because they could hear the bhajans and everything. So can he come and attend this class? He was only 5 years old. His name was Srinivasa. So can he come and attend in this place, in your bhajan? And also other times, can he play in your garden or something like that? My mother said, yes, she loved children and she herself had started the Bal Vikas many, many years ago, as Swami had asked her to. So she said, yes. So this boy got admitted, little fellow, he was 4.5 or 5. And his main interest in the Bal Vikas class was the prasadam that we used to keep on the side. He would be eyeing that prasadam. He would always ask, Akka, when can I eat that prasadam? And I would say after a story, after bhajan, after arati, like that. So every time he will say, every bhajan is over, he's saying, is it Arati now, Mangalarti now, can I eat the prasad? So like that he started in my class. But he was a very, very bright fellow. He learnt all the prayers, he learnt all the devotional songs, he would ask lot of questions in the stories, but his main interest was the prasadam, this little fellow Srinivasa. But he learnt well. So like this it was good. And whenever he saw Swami's photo, he would say, who is this? Is this God? And I would say, yes, I believe him to be God. He'll say, can he walk and he talk and all that? Because he saw pictures of our family with Swami. So he knew that it was not like a Ramakrishna picture. Yes. So he would call him walking, talking God. You know, he will say, when is this walking, talking God coming? So I used to say, Swami will come to our house for dinner. You can see him one of these days. So sure enough, almost every month or every other month, Swami used to come to our house. So one particular time when Swami was going to come, I told all my Balavikas children, everybody make sure you tell your parents and come and be in our house by 6 o'clock. Swami will generally come around 6:30 or so. You can have his darshan. And in fact, many times after Swami saw the children, my mother would feed the children and the children would go home, because many times, it would get dark. So I had told, and I told the Srinivasa also, and I told his mother also, who was the lady who used to work next door, you bring that Srinivasa on that day. He's always asking that Swami is coming. It's a Sunday or something like that. Swami is coming, and she said yes to me. But on the day of when Swami was going to come for dinner, she did not want to bring him. She was, after all, not a devotee or anything. She didn't know much about Swami. So she wanted to go to a movie, and she did not want this boy to come to our house, because the lady next door, if she sees Srinivasa, she will say, why did your mother not come to work today? And this boy will say, my mother went to cinema. So she said, you can't go to see that Sai Baba and all that today. You stay. And this boy cried and cried, because he was very much interested in not only seeing walking, talking God, but he also knew there was going to be a very nice dinner also after that. So he wanted to. But the mother did not listen. They lived in a small hut in a slum area near our house. She locked him into the house and she went away with her friend to the movie. So this poor boy, I had given all my Balavikas children some clocks for some Balavikas competition and all that. I had given him a clock also. He knew how to read the clock. So he knew that 6:30 was coming and he will miss seeing Swami. So after the mother had gone away at about 5 o'clock for the movie, he broke, I believe. We didn't know this. I didn't know. I was in the house. This boy arrived in our house. And he came and he said, Auntie, I came. Akka, I came. I said, okay, everybody sit in the garage. We used to make all the children in my mother's garage sit there, Balvika's children. So they were all sitting. I got busy helping my mother because Swami was coming. A lot of excitement in the house, family members were there. Swami arrived a little late that day to our house after Vrindavan, from Vrindavan with my father. He came and sat in the living room, and as soon as he sat down, he said, where are the children? He asked me. I said, in the garage, Swami. So he came with me to the garage and he gave Padnamskar to all the children. And he looked at me and said, where is Srinivasa? He asked. This little fellow who had never seen Swami. So I looked, he was here only, Swami. But he's not there. We looked everywhere. We looked in the garden. He's not there. Swami immediately face became very serious. He said, come, and he took me into the bedroom in my father's house. And he was not very happy with me. He said, you are a Balavika's guru. When you have taken the commitment of the children, your duty is to be with the children, not all over the place. Where were you? I said, I was helping Amma. He said, no, there are so many people to help Amma. Why did you not stay with your children? That fellow is only 5 years old. Where did he go? You don't know where your children are. So immediate lesson to me as a Balavika's guru. When you take the children somewhere, you be with the children. You can't go here and there wherever you like. He said. And I got really scared because he's a small boy. Where did he go? At that time, Swami just patted my cheek. He said, don't worry. She'll come now. He said, she'll come. And he went back to the sitting room and he sat down. And all my relatives were there. He was talking. And suddenly, the doorbell rang. Usually in our house, when Swami came, we would make sure nobody rang the doorbell and disturb Swami. But somehow in this confusion, it was right. Doorbell rang. Swami got up and said, I will only see who is at the door. So he got up and my father and my mother and we all kind of were trying to see. went there, and sure enough, at the door, this lady, this boy's mother, who is the maid, and this boy Srinivasa was standing. And as soon as she saw Swami, she fell at Swami's feet and said, "Thank you, Swami. Thank you, Swami. You saved my son. You saved my son," she said. And Swami materialized some vibhuti for this boy and said, pinched his cheek and said, "What is your name?" He said, "Srinivasa." He said, "Be a good boy and study well." Swami said, "Put vibhuti." And they all stayed back for it. Then Swami came back in the sitting room and started to tell us the story. He said, "When I was coming to your house with Padmanabh in the car, this lady was walking on the street. You know what she did? Because this boy, she did not want this boy to come, she locked him up in the hut and she went off to the cinema. And when we were driving here, she was walking back from the movie and I stopped the car." He said, "You ask Padmanabh, that's my father. I stopped the car, I brought the window down and I said, 'What are you doing? Your child you have locked up in the house, but the hut has caught fire.'" So this lady got so scared because she has locked the house, she ran all the way. But in the meantime, Swami said, "I gave this Srinivasa the buddhi to break the window and get out of the hut and come here. That is why you saw him. At 6 o'clock, he came and sat. He said, 'Akka, I have come.' But then at 7 o'clock, he got scared. It started to get dark and Swami had not yet come. This boy was so intelligent. By himself, he has gone back to the house. But when he went to the slum area, he found that his hut had caught fire. And the mother also had come. Swami was telling us this whole story. Mother came and so this boy, I rescued that boy. And he came here, he had darshan, good boy, he said, and he told me, "You must look after your children when you are with the children." That mother also didn't do her duty. He told all these things. Then many years later, in 2006, when I came from USA to Prashanthi Nilayam, I was sitting in the darshan line and Swami came to me and said, "I'm going to Kodaikanal in 2 days' time. You go back to Bangalore and you also come with the Amma to Kodaikanal." So I came to Kodaikanal, but we didn't get any accommodation anywhere because all your Tamil Nadu devotees had arrived in Kodaikanal. All the hotels were taken up. Everything was taken care of. And I tried everywhere from Bangalore and we could not get even train tickets, flight tickets. So we actually drove, my mother and I, because my mother said, "Swami has said, come, we will go. We can sleep in the car. We will see something. Swami will take care of us." So we arrived in Kodaikanal at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The gates were closed of Sai Shruti. We were outside. There was a lot of crowd and people were standing in a line to go, token line. We were also just standing. We don't know any Tamil Nadu Seva Dal to tell that Swami has asked us to come. So we were just standing. Suddenly one Seva Dal gentleman, he started to come running from inside that area, where the gate is. He started to run. He had a scarf and everything. And the Sevadal near the gate thought that maybe Swami's car is coming or something because he was running and saying, "Open the gate, open the gate." So they opened the gate thinking Swami's car is coming. He came out and he stood there and he looked, and in the crowd, my mother and I were standing. He came running and he fell at my mother's feet. We thought he tripped and fell down, and my mother helped him and said, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" He stood up. He looked at my face. Again, he fell at our feet. Says, "What is wrong with you? You are a young man. You are a Sevadal. Why are you falling like this?" He looked at my mother and he said, "Amma, you didn't, auntie, you didn't recognize Akka. You didn't recognize me. I'm Srinivasa," he said. So we said, "Which Srinivasa?" It is so many years from 1977. This is 2006. So I said, "Which Srinivasa?" He said, "Akka, you forgot me. I was in your Balvika's class. You remember that hut? It caught fire." Immediately I said, yes, I remember. What are you doing?" He said, "You remember Swami told me, you be a good boy and study well. I studied hard. Now I work for a bank in Coimbatore. And I joined the Seva Dal. I'm looking after my mother. I joined the Tamil Nadu Seva Dal. And I was given the opportunity to serve here inside Sai Shruti. And they chose me to stand somewhere near Swami's room in case Swami wanted. Suddenly today, Swami opened the door. And from that day, 77 to 2006, I had not heard his voice other than discourse. He called me and said, your guru has come. Tell her there is accommodation inside. There is a room for her. Go and bring them. He didn't know which guru Swami is talking. He has studied in so many schools, so many classes. So he came running out and he stood there. He recognized my mother because it was many years. I had come away, got married, come away to USA. He couldn't recognize me. He recognized my mother and he fell at her feet. And he said, Amma, please come. Swami has said that there is a room for you inside. You please come. He said, you have no accommodation. And he took us inside. And he was full of tears. He said, after so many years, today Swami talked to me, Amma. He said, your guru has come. So Swami gave us accommodation. And in the evening darshan, when we went inside the hall and we sat down inside, Swami came all the way up to me and asked me, Chusava, ni shishunni? He said, did you see your student? He asked. I said, yes, Swami, I saw my student. He said, see, he's now in the seva there. He said, and he gave me vibhuti, and we stayed for 3-4 days there. And Swami, in fact, with his infinite love, told us on the way back, you go to Madurai, you have Madurai Meenakshi temple. And then he told me outside the temple, there is a Madurai cooperative society which sells cotton sarees. Don't buy here and there. They will put topi for you because you are from America. You go to Madurai Cooperative Society, buy some nice cotton sarees for yourself and go, Swami said, and sent me back from there. So this was the story of that little boy Srinivasa. Just 2 sentences was enough for him. Be a good boy and study well. He changed his whole life. We have heard discourses all our life, but we don't want to change our life even a little bit. We just like to hear discourses and forget. Those who have listened and those who have followed, Swami has definitely showed his love and presence to such people. So the important to put the effort in this journey. Not always say Swami will take care, Swami will take care. He will take care when we also take care.
Thank you, Sairam, for sharing such a wonderful and touching experience of Guru and the Balavika student. Really brought tears to our eyes. The next question is medicine with faith or just faith without medicine enough to cure diseases? I repeat, is medicine with faith or just faith without medicine enough to cure diseases?
Very nice question. The dilemma that all of us face. So Swami actually has given a very beautiful answer to this. My father used to have a spondylitis of the spine, but he was a doctor through and through, and also Western, but he had deep faith in Swami. But whenever Swami, he used to get back pain, Swami would always say, Padmanabh, I'm giving you vibhuti. He used to give him Rudrakshi also. Take water and take. But he would always say, but whenever you take, your thought will come to you sometimes that, should I just go and check with the orthopedic surgeon? So when you get that thought, it is better you go to the doctor. Because unless you have 100% unwaverable faith, and also Swami has put a second caveat, you are willing to accept the consequence of that faith, because you may not get the result that you want, So unless you have such unwaverable faith, then you have to sometimes follow the intellect. But when you have, Swami says, unwaverable faith, and you are willing to accept the consequences of God's decision, then you don't require any medicine. He will take care of it. But whatever way He takes care, we must accept that. We cannot say, oh, He should take care of me only the way I want to be taken care of. Faith means accepting God's decision at all times, whatever that may be. So that is unwaverable faith. But if we are not able to do that, then obviously we have to take the medicine and say, Swami, I still don't have 100% faith in you. I am taking this medicine, but please work through the doctor. Please work through his buddhi. Please work through my buddhi. And then accept the consequence. Just because the doctor has given medicine also, it doesn't mean it will work 100%. It depends, right? We don't know. Many times we hear the same medicine he has given two people. It works for one person, it doesn't work for the other person. We don't know the answer to that. So Swami says, but again, I want to underline, if we have unwaverable faith and are willing to accept whatever decision God takes, then He will take care of us. But when we don't have that, then we are going to follow our intellect. Even then, we can pray that the doctor has the right buddhi, the right medicine comes through him. Through him, God will work through him also. He is in everybody's heart. So that I hope is an answer that is acceptable.
Yes, thank you, Sairam. You beautifully answered. The next question is, few words to the devotees who have come to Swami's fold after his Mahasamadhi.
This is a common question that I do get. And I do, in fact, fold my hand in humility and reverence towards such people. Because for me, it was not difficult to have faith in Swami. From the day I was born, I saw all the beautiful Mahimas, my ancestors, my elders, everybody told me stories like Sai Bhagavatam. So for me to develop faith is not a very big thing. But for people who have not had the opportunity to interact with Swami, even when he was in his physical form, not everybody got a chance to talk to Swami. Not everybody got a Pada Namaskar. Not everybody got an interview. But still, I have seen through my experience of giving talks all over the world, from South Africa to Australia, to Indonesia, to Malaysia, people have such tremendous devotion. And it's not always because Swami has talked to them. They have developed devotion even without talking to Swami, even without. Now, the question is about people who have come later, after Swami has left his physical form. But the question for that, the question I ask is, these people obviously have a spiritual inclination. They had some faith, whether it was Jesus or whether it was Rama or Krishna. Have they met Rama or Krishna before? Or have they met Jesus before or Buddha before? They developed that faith by constantly being in the company of people who had faith. So constantly being in the Sangha of people who had devotion and faith. So when we have the company of people who have faith, we read the books which will develop faith in us, and we talk to people or listen to discourses of people who have faith. Our faith will also deepen and our eyes will open, and suddenly we will see things happening in our life which we may call as coincidence. But Swami has said there are no such things as coincidences. Everything is God incidence, he said. So when we develop, so it is very important, the kind of books we read, the kind of things we see, the kind of people we talk, the kind of friendships we keep. If all of these are sattvic and devoted and people with faith, then our faith will also develop. There is, just like we have faith in Rama's picture, so many thousands of people are going to Tirupati for darshan. Has Venkatramana Swami talked to anyone of them? For so many hours they wait. How did they develop that faith? It is just through the devotion of the people around them that the families and friends have given it to them.
Thank you, Sairam. The last concluding question. How to bring younger generation, especially youth, to Swami's fold, and how to bring other family members also to Swami's fold? The youth, especially their family members, both.
So, Swami has very clearly said that when it is his sankalpa, he will decide who will come to him. That is really not in our hands, because so many things, Swami clearly has told me specifically in a couple of interviews, that it depends upon their samskara and their previous good karmas, how their life path will go. So Swami is very clear. But at the same time, Swami gave a very beautiful thing. It is how we lead our lives as examples. Swami says, your life is my message. When we lead lives which is a message of Swami's, people who see us will think, how is it that this person is leading a life? It is so, they are doing so much seva. They speak so kindly. They are so loving. What is it about them? When they see our behavior, they will develop the curiosity to find out what made you like that. When they develop that curiosity, they will say, hey, how is it that you do so much seva? You may say that every Sunday, we go through the Sai organization. Who is the Sai who has made you such a nice person? Then you may give him a book to read. So that is how Swami says, your life will become a message. So we cannot convince other people by just telling them something. Any number of stories I can tell, any number of miracles I can tell. But if my life is not the same as what I am telling, they will say she gives so many talks. Swami has very clearly said, stage mein hero, life mein zero. So if our life is a zero example, but on the stage we are trying to convince somebody else, even family members, then we cannot convince them. So our life has to change first and foremost. We have to. And even the youth especially, they will have more questions than any adult. So for them, we have to be consistent in our behavior. And we have to, if we are telling the children, don't waste so much money doing so many things, but we are at home wasting money and going shopping for 25 saris as a woman, no youngster, no child of mine will believe when I say follow ceiling on desires. So unless our life changes and we become the message of Swami, it is not possible to convince anybody else. So we have to introspect for ourselves.
Thank you, Sairam. Rightly said. Swami has always been telling, your life is my message. And thanks
Yes.
for asking all the questions patiently. I will just sum up some highlights of the talk.
Before you do that, Kirti, I would once again like to thank all of you. Sairam.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sairam. Mrs. Geetha Mohanram started about the Mahima period of Swami, where she started sharing her experiences about intensity of relationship with Swami and the relationship of love which we develop towards Swami. That really matters. The intensity and faith with which we call out, it will take us through the journey of the life. So calling Swami's name with right intensity and power will really see us through the journey of life. Thank you so much for sharing your experience about attending or being a part of Swami's interview and how your sons were stopped at various points and then it was their calling for Swami and Swami himself going and searching for your sons and bringing them to the interview room. It was a wonderful experience that you shared with us. Thank you, Sairam. And the materialization of two crosses, the silver cross, the tiny silver cross, and for your teacher, the crucifix, which her father had preserved it for her, for his son. This shows that Swami was omnipresent and he knows in and out everywhere. So, regardless of faith or form of God, it is a devotion which really pulls you to Swami. Maybe their intensity towards God, even if it's Jesus, it has taken them to Swami. And the Vibhuti curing tuberculosis, it was really a miracle which you had shared with us today. Thank you so much for reinforcing faith in Vibhuti, Sairam. You talked about the duty consciousness with which your mother had learned a lesson with your cousin sister Sudha, the temperature thermometer being left and Swami being there to rescue the child. It was a beautiful experience shared by you. Thank you, Sairam. And finally, Swami even listens to the buffaloes who have been rendering selfless service in spite of others not being aware and enjoying vacation with Swami. Swami even had them in mind and he went all the way there to spend a couple of minutes with them, nurturing them, taking care of them, talking to them. So that is our beloved Bhagwan, all benevolent, loving, caring to all creatures. Thank you so much, Sairam, for sharing lessons at Divine Lotus Feet, commitment to duty, intensity and faith, and any form of God. If we call with faith, have faith and confidence in the faith. That is more than enough to always, that Swami is always there for you. If you have the faith, Swami will take care of you. Thank you, Sairam. We will conclude this session. समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्तलोकाः सुखिनो भवन्तु शांति शांति शांति। जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय।
साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्वप्रचोदयात्। ॐ साईश्वराय विद्महे सत्यदेवाय धीमहि तन्नः सर्व